These are the 5 lessons that if I hadn't learned in my 20s, I would have fallen far behind in life. So I saw a tweet once and it said something along the lines of, when you're in your mid-20s, you're actually halfway through your life in terms of perception. This is the exact reason why when you were younger, the summers felt like they lasted forever, and as you get older, they are gone in the blink of an eye. Because in terms of actual time, when you're in your mid-20s, you're probably around right here. But I've seen from countless people that are older than me, especially those that are successful, such as Dana White or Robert Greene, they say things like this.
You think when you're young that you have all this time. You have no time. Like, I'm 54 years old right now. Like that.
Life is shorter than you think. You don't have nearly as much time as you think you do.
By the time you're in your mid-20s, you're actually halfway done. At least it's gonna feel that way. From 1 to say 25 was all of this, and it was basically the building ground for who you are. But from 25 to death, it's gonna go by at the exact same pace in terms of perception as you to get to that point in your mid-20s. And this goes against what you hear from a lot of regular people that say like, oh, your 20s, have fun, you'll figure it out in your 30s or 40s. I did. But the reality is they simply have brainwashed themselves into acceptance that they're on the path they're on in life. Therefore, what a lot of people do is throw their true ambitions they had out the window and settle for what they got going right now. I had to learn this lesson over and over and over in life. I would have these massive changes that I felt like I needed to make in order to get where I wanted to be in life, but I would kind of push them off because, you know, I'm young, I'm figuring things out. And then all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed and nothing has changed. And I had to go through this a couple times before realizing, oh, I am gonna die. And I'm not replaying this game. This is not the training grounds. This is not a tutorial where, oh, we'll figure it out later in life. No. And the whole memento mori thing, remember death, has been kind of like bastardized. Everyone's made it mainstream. It's kind of cringe now. But it is true in terms of most days, I have to literally consciously think to myself, I am going to die. I literally haven't hit snooze since I started implementing that trick. I wake up and if I feel like going back to sleep, I think, I'm gonna fucking die. I don't have as much time as I think. Every second is precious right now, especially in this phase of my life, because men peak around the time in their 30s. So if I want to be the peak physically, financially, mentally, socially, I need to get to work. Because let's assume you don't get lucky. You have to figure things out the hard way. You have to put the work in. You have to learn. If you want to evolve and you want to be successful, you really have only 3, maybe 4 runs at this, from 20 to 30. 30 to 40, 40 to 50, maybe 50 to 60, but at that point, man, good luck. And that's assuming that's only gonna take you 10 years to master the things you need to master to get where you want in life. The only other option is you keep pushing stuff off, you keep pushing off change, and one day, you're 40, you're with your nagging 4 of a wife, Jessica, no offense to Jessica, and you're thinking back to when you were in your 20s, and you saw that girl Stacy at the gym, and she was beautiful, and you think, man, if I would have just locked in, talked to Stacy, pursued that dream I had, I could be in such a better situation right now. But now I'm just here with Jessica. The next lesson I learned caused immeasurable amounts of pain, but actually really helped unfuck my life. So I don't talk about this as much as I used to, but since a very young age, I struggled heavily with pornography addiction. But as I was entering my 20s, I began becoming a little more self-aware, learning about self-improvement, and realizing, oh, this is a bad habit. This is extremely harmful. It's ruining my social life. It's ruining my dopamine levels. I'm unmotivated. I'm distracted constantly. And if I don't change this, I'm simply not going to become the person I need to be to achieve the things I want to achieve. So I started trying to quit. And you know, things would go well, maybe a couple days, maybe a week or whatever. But then I would relapse. And then a couple days, then I would relapse. 3-day streak, 3-peat in a day, whatever. And this cycle went on for a couple years until I realized the next lesson. You do it because you want to. You see, when I was struggling with this, and when I see a lot of people struggling with bad habits, they like to pretend like, oh no, I actually want to quit. It's just the urges get me, or the demons get me, or the internet, or society, or whatever is out to get me. And then you're having all these internal battles in your mind. Your willpower is getting whittled to nothing because willpower is a limited resource. And then you give in, and you feel immeasurable amounts of shame, and you start the cycle again. You start the battle again. But here's the thing, and the thing that I realized is that I did it because I wanted to. Sure, I was pretending and I was coping like, no, I'm on self-improvement, I'm working to quit. But honestly, after a couple months, let alone years of struggling with it, I should have realized this. It's not like my hand possesses itself and I'm like, no, stop! No, whether it's junk food, whether it's pornography, whether it's whatever, you consciously close the door, lock the door, open incognito, make sure your Bluetooth isn't connected to the family speaker downstairs. You consciously go in the pantry, open it up, grab the fucking Cheetos, sit on the couch. And it's one of the harshest truths to face because our egos love the idea that we have something else to blame for our bad habits that give us those quick dopamine hits. It's the demons that make me relapse. It's the sugar cravings that get me to eat the junk food. It's the social circle. I gotta go out and drink Friday. But when you do that, you're simply putting the ball of power into the court of the externals, the court of also your ego. Because your ego doesn't want you to admit your flaws. Your ego doesn't want change. But it isn't until you shift from these fake, neurotic battles to accepting that I do this because I want to, therefore I need to figure out why I want to do this and how to stop doing this, that the ball of power will finally move back into your court and you will have control and autonomy and authority over your life once again. Because here's the thing, people say, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to stop smoking, oh, I want to stop watching porn. You haven't done it yet, which means you want to do those things, but if you want to do something, it means you don't want to do that. And when I was struggling with that certain addiction, I would go maybe a week or so, and then I would get a thought, maybe I'm scrolling Instagram like, oh, you can just look at that girl real quick on the reel or on the explore page or whatever, just a quick peek. It's not a big deal. You can get away with that. But you know what would happen? Maybe not that day, maybe not the next day, but eventually I look at something a little bit more. And then the next day I look at something a little bit more. And then I relapse again. And it's not just with this, it's with everything in life. And I've realized that you can't get away with it. So for a while, I've been pursuing YouTube as a career. I wanted to make videos that grow and build a business off it. I'm there now, awesomely. But what I would do is, anytime I uploaded a video that overperformed and was doing well, because it was getting views, it was out there in the ether, performing well, I would then think, oh, I can get away with taking a day off. I can get away with slacking for a little bit and just hanging out, getting the quick dopamine hits from new comments and likes and views. And then all of a sudden, it's 10 days later, I haven't posted a video, that video stopped getting views, and I'm stressed out. I'm rushing to push out another video, and because it was rushed, it wasn't good enough, and then that video flops. On a long enough time horizon, I didn't actually get away with taking those days off. And every time you do that, you have to remember that your subconscious is constantly keeping score. Because if you're trying to become a better version of yourself, to achieve those things, it means you are working towards the higher self, which means the current self needs to go bye-bye. But every time you over-celebrate a win, every time you slack off, every time you do these things, you are actually casting votes for the current self instead of the higher self, which means you're setting a baseline standard that you know deep down is not good enough to get where you want to be in life because it's still just the current self and the current self's baseline standards. You have to think about progression in life as if you are climbing up a muddy, slippery mountain. And every single day you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other because the moment you stop to take a break or do whatever, the mud starts slipping and you fall back. But here's the thing, in the heat of the moment, your mind, your ego, your monkey mind, whatever you want to call it, is going to tell you, no, you can actually get away with it. Therefore, the way to combat this is you have to develop an automatic reflex to disagree and to keep reinforcing that you can't. I can't get away with looking at these girls on Instagram. I can't get away with sleeping in multiple hours. I can't get away with half-assing a day of work. And this does take some self-awareness of one's thoughts and some control over one's mind, which if that's something you want to strengthen, you want to build the skill of metacognition, and you'd like to do it the way I did it, which is through a specific type of meditations, check out my free 5-day guide in the description below. So in personal development, it's common early on to consume as much content as you possibly can about these topics. And you keep thinking, oh, I just need one more video. The answer is around the corner. Amon Gidgey's actually going to teach me how to get rich this time. This podcast is actually going to help me get my life together this time. When first of all, no one's coming to save you, ever. But second of all, you already have the answers. And sometimes it's direct. You literally know exactly what you should be doing, and you're kind of coping by consuming more information instead because you want to be more informed, more prepared. Which, by the way, the moment you let information gathering outpace action, you're doing something extremely wrong. But beyond that, it's like you're pressing the gas in terms of acquiring information, but you're also pressing the brakes in terms of not taking action. And what I found is all this does is make you extremely anxious because deep down you know you're not actually doing anything, you're not actually making changes, and your subconscious and your body is literally generating anxiety and emotion trying to push you to take action, and you think, oh, I just need one more YouTube video. There was one time where there was a $4,000 program that I was looking at buying. It's from someone that I've been consuming content from for a while. I got in a sales call and got more information about it, and then I just didn't make a decision. And then a month passed, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, until finally I realized, regardless of if this program is going to be a game changer or not, the answer was, the action I should have done, and deep down I knew, is that I should have bought it. Because one, there was a 99% chance I would have learned something I didn't know, and therefore I'd have more information and more guidance on things I should be taking action on now. Or number two, worst case scenario, I already knew what was in the program and I got a super valuable lesson that I already had all the answers, I just need to take action. But there is something that I didn't learn for a while and was actually resulting in all my action taking being mostly futile. So you ever go to the gym and you look over and see a fat person and they're doing something kind of weird. They have really light dumbbells, they're just kind of throwing them around. They have a band, they're just doing like goofy exercise, and you think to yourself, man, I'm really glad that guy is here, but he does not know what he is doing and he's gonna have no change on his physique from that. Well, it's the same for you when you're trying to become successful, when you're trying to grow a business, when you're trying to work on yourself, and that is that you don't know what you don't know. You see, you have stuff that you know, and then you have stuff you don't know. But beyond that, and the reason why a lot of people struggle to get ahead is that there is stuff you don't know you don't know. And these two things, they fall into your circle of awareness. You're aware of the stuff you know, obviously, and you're aware of the stuff you don't know, but you're gonna work on knowing. You're currently blind to certain amounts of information that is actually required for you to get where you want in life. For example, when I started making content, there was stuff I knew. There was stuff I knew about filming a camera and editing and Photoshop. But then there was stuff I knew I still needed to learn, like, oh, how to edit a really good thumbnail. But eventually I went and learned those things, and that became more stuff I know. And yet I still wasn't getting where I wanted to be. And I was so confused. I was like, I know all these things, I'm taking all this action, and I'm not getting the results I wanted. And it wasn't until I dove much deeper into content planning and content writing, and even purchasing a writing program back in the day, that the moment I was going through and reading, I realized, oh, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know I needed to know. And the only way for me to realize the things that I needed to know was I had to put my ego aside, accept I'm not getting the results I want, therefore there is something I am missing, and go out seeking that information. And then once all that came into my awareness, I was able to go and learn those things, and I started getting the results I desired. And that took me having a student mindset. You need to continue acting like you are a beginner, like you're a student, like life still has things to teach you, that your mentors or the content you consume has things to teach you. Because trust me, if you feel like you have it all figured out, but things aren't working out, you don't have it all figured out. And being able to put your ego aside and think like, oh, I'm training really hard, but I'm not putting on the muscle I want. Maybe I should look more into nutrition. Oh, I actually need to be eating more calories. No, I'm definitely eating enough calories. Oh, I tracked my calories for a day and realized I'm only eating 2,000 when I thought I was eating 3,500. And while those examples are on a macro scale, it's even on a micro scale. I have a friend in my mastermind with content, and he has a bad habit of saying It's like every 3 words he says And it wasn't until I started bullying him for it, and he would say and I go to try to catch him so he'd stop saying it, that he became aware of the thing he wasn't aware of his bad habit of And the quickest way to realize the stuff you don't know is to go out there and take action and struggle and face challenges, because you're quickly going to realize the holes in your boat that need to be sealed. But there was a 6th lesson I learned that is far too long to put in this video, but clearly you're ambitious, clearly you want to get some stuff done. So click the video on the screen right now where I explain how to get so much done in this year that you question reality. It blows your mind. It really shatters your perception on what your potential is. Click the video. It's right here. It's right here. Okay, I love you. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.